Hello, Planeswalkers! Andrew here, joined by Tyler. Today we're bringing you a brand new Top 5 video, this time on our favorite Selesnya commanders. Now, these are our personal favorites, so be sure to let us know what your favorite Selesnya commanders are in the comments below. And with that, let's start off things with my number 5 pick. Kicking off my list is Trostani, Selesnya's voice. Green and white are great colors for going wide, so it's a bit weird I haven't built a Selesnya deck yet. Anyways, Trostani costs 2 green and 2 white and says whenever a creature enters under your control, you gain life equal to its toughness. You can also pay into her and tap her to populate, which is to say, put another of a creature token you control on the field. There's a couple of ways I could see this deck going, like running a bunch of walls to drop cheap creatures with high toughness and gain lots of life, and running some tokens, making cards like Avenger of Zendikar to close out games. Not the most exciting commander on my list, hence why she's number 5, but still neat nonetheless.
Taking my number 5 spot is Krond, the Dawnclad. A 6/6 legendary Archon for green, white, with flying and vigilance. Krond also has the ability to exile any permanent forever if he attacks and he happens to be enchanted. I like exiling effects. It gives me a bigger sense of peace knowing that it will be next to impossible for my opponent to try and recurve whatever it is I'm getting rid of. And sure, Krond makes you jump through some hoops to get there, and that mana cost is nothing to scoff at, but we're in green and white here. These colors are famous for their Enchantress cards, their ramping, and their means of protection. So in actuality, Krond shouldn't really be that hard to get out and start swinging with. Pair him up with things like the Umbra Auras or a pair of Swiftfoot boots, and you'll be banishing any and all threats to the Shadow Realm in no time. I hate blue. I don't make any attempt to hide it. Yeah, I'll play the color, but there is nothing I hate more than when I'm trying to do something cool, and maybe game ending, but this is my list, so shut up, and the blue player at the table has to counter my stuff. It really steams my hands if you catch my drift. That's why my number 4 pick is Dragonlord Dromoka, a 5/7 vigilant flying elder dragon for 4 green white. She can't be countered, and so long as she's on the battlefield, opponents can't cast spells during your turn. This is good for a few reasons. Reason the first is that, unless we're dealing with some very specific corner cases, Dromoka will be hitting the field. Reason the second is, once she's arrived, you're now free to protect her and build her up without having to worry about those pesky blue mages getting all up in your business. Give her some lightning greaves, maybe exile some irritating cards that your opponents have been threatening you with, go take a bathroom break. What are they gonna do? Cast spells? Not on your watch.
It wouldn't be a top 5 list for me if I didn't include a Theros god of some kind. Karametra, God of Harvest, is my number 4 pick, and she's an indestructible god for 3 green white with a devotion of 7. Whenever you cast a creature, you get to drop plains or forest from your deck onto the field tapped. Landfall is one of my favorite mechanics, and she's one of the best landfall commanders I can think of. Second, maybe to 4-color Almath. Karametra is the commander you run if you really want to ramp ahead of every other player, what with her coughing up lands for days. Also, she's inspired by the Greek goddess Demeter, who shares Karametra's title as God of Harvest, and she's one of the oldest Olympians in the Pantheon. At number 3 I've got Miri, Weatherlight Duelist. On top of being a cat person, which I already like a lot, she both helps you attack and helps you protect by allowing your opponents to only block with 1 creature when she attacks, and by limiting them to 1 attacker when she's tapped, if they're attacking you. While she doesn't make tons of creatures or rewards you for playing lots of creatures, she does make it easier to get your armies past your enemy's defenses. Load her up with some protection effects to stop her from dying, and maybe buff her up if she's your biggest attacker at a given time so you can get your other creatures through. Such a fun and flavorful set of abilities.
I like animals. And what are animals? That's right, dogs. But we're not talking about dogs, we're talking about wolves. Specifically, a friend to wolves. At number 3 on my list, I have Tulsamir, friend to good doggos. 2 green, white gets you a 3/3 elf scout who enters the battlefield with a 3/3 legendary wolf named Voja, friend to elves. He also has, whenever a wolf enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life, and that creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. I love spells that give me multiple different effects across a single card, and Tulsimir being able to turn any wolf you play into both life gain and potential removal is just fantastic and efficient. Partner him with cards like the Kessig Cage Breakers or Wolfbriar Elemental to make your own tiny army, wipe the board, and gain a metric buttload of life. That all being said, I'm not sure if he can keep the moniker Friend to Wolves if he makes them all fight and potentially die. Don't trust elves, kids. Let's drop that subscriber count down to 0. You know what's better than a good dog? Any cat. There, I said it. In the never-ending battle of cats versus dogs, I am firmly in the feline camp, right next to my number 2 pick, Arabo, Roar of the Wild. A 5/5 for 3 green white, Arabo comes with one of my favorite mechanics, that being Eminence. For him, it means that so long as he is in the command zone or on the battlefield, you can give another target cat you control +3/+3 until end of turn when you start combat. If he's on the battlefield himself, he also has the ability to double any cat's power and toughness for 1 green white when they attack, until end of turn. Arbo's ability to affect the board even without being there himself is amazing, which is why I love the Eminence ability from Commander 2017. You're free to use your mana on other things while still getting a bonus from your commander, all while he sits comfortably in the command zone like a spoiled, pompous feline. I can say that, I have a cat.
At number 2, I have everyone's second favorite Selesnya, Selesnya Explorer Returned. She's not the green staple that her other card is, but she's still a cool group hug commander, drawing everyone cards and gaining you life and extra green mana. The only downside is that there are still better group hug commanders, such as Feldegriff and Kineos and Tiro of Meletis, which both bring more colors to the table. In spite of that, Selesnya can still bring you protection enchantments in white and ramp in green. You can fill in the rest with your choice of win cons, such as Approach the Second Sun, or spells to just mess with your opponents, like the tons of removal you've got access to in these colors. My favorite Selesnya commander is the one I'm currently most likely to build, which is Reese the Redeemed. Elf Tribal is one of the more popular tribal builds, but I'm not a hipster, so I'm not too worried about following this particular trend. Reese costs a Selesnya and can be paid into and tapped to make a 1/1 elf, or to double your creature tokens. After the second elf token, it becomes more lucrative to pay to double your tokens, and as long as nobody board wipes, you just start to go exponential with your 1/1 elf boys, gals, and non-binary pals. Just the thought of tapping Reese to turn 4 elves into 8 and 8 into 16 has me excited to build the deck. So many elves to run people over with. Now, if only I didn't have so many decks in progress, I'd actually consider building this right now.
Taking my number 1 spot is my personal, in-paper Selesnya commander, and that's Shalai, Voice of Plenty. A 3/4 flying angel for 3 and a white, Shalai gives hexproof to you and all other creatures you control. She can also put a +1/+1 counter on every creature you control for 4 green, which is why she's legal as a green-white commander. I love having commanders that give me access to multiple colors while limiting the amount of colors they themselves need to be cast, making it way easier to make sure you have the mana needed to play your commander as early as possible. On top of that, hexproof is also my favorite keyword, and since Shalai gives it to everything but herself, I'm free to use all of my protection, keeping her safe, rather than spreading my resources too thin. She's also a very effective mana sink, giving you somewhere to put all that mana you ramped into and used to cast the literal mountain of tokens the Selesnyan color pair is famous for spitting out.
Thank you all so much for watching. Again, let us know what your favorite Selesnya commanders are in the comments below. It's a funny thing, after writing this, but before recording this video, I started building a Pringle deck list. It's a meme because it's built out of foil cards that have gone pringly, that have curled because they're bad foils. And it's going to be a Selesnya deck, led by, what is it? Hamza. Yes, it's Hamza, the big elephant from Commander Legends. It's going to be called Sour Cream and Onion, because it's white-green, and I love it to death. I just need to gather the cards and punch them out so that they are Pringle-shaped, and put them in a Pringle tin. That's the meme. It's a very cheap deck because I'm going to be destroying the cards to make them Pringle-shaped, but it will be fun, and I will post about it on Twitter as things go. So be sure to Follow the links in the description to find mine and Tyler's Twitters. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It really helps us out a lot. Anyways, y'all have a great day.